Jeff Sentell, who covers UGA recruiting for DogNation.com. Jeff, we'll say good evening for you. Reaction from you, if you don't mind, for Pappoe, who just chose Auburn over Georgia a moment ago. You were in the building. What was your reaction to seeing it live?
Well, hey guys, good evening. I think, if you follow this stuff, you've kind of heard inklings for a while. We let Owen shared it tonight that he said he's kind of felt at home at Auburn, felt more comfortable, felt that he had a better chance to play right away at Auburn for probably 2 or 3 months now. And if everybody wants to start back counting and looking at their calendars, Pappoe told me tonight that there was 2 very impressionable visits he made to Auburn at the zenith of their season last year when they knocked off Georgia and Alabama in back-to-back weekends. That's when he started feeling really good about Auburn. He said Gus Malzahn didn't even know. The only person that he knew was that knew on the Auburn staff was Travis Williams. He's got his recruiting hat on. He says his first target he's going to go after is recent, and I mean really recent Tennessee commitment, Wanye Morris. That's his #1 target to flip to Auburn. Other spicy details out of the Pappoe decision tonight, as he said Georgia led for most of his sophomore year. He said Auburn finally overtook Georgia right around that time with those back-to-back wins for Auburn against Alabama and Georgia.
Jeff, we talked all night about, how the recruitment is going to continue for all these schools that are involved in Owen Pappoe. How firm, being around him tonight, talking to him over the last couple of years, how firm do you think this decision is that he made tonight?
I think it's pretty firm. I think he's been waiting for quite a long time to make this commitment. He's already got some guys he's going to go after and target for Auburn. He says he's very solid. I even asked him the question, what happens with seasons? What happens if, for example, probably the linchpin of his commitment and focus on Auburn was linebackers coach Travis Williams. If something happens to him, he didn't even want to really entertain that question naturally. He says right now he's really solid to Auburn. He sees himself playing there faster. He said, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with competition. He just knows Georgia signed a lot of linebackers that would be in his ways, and he thinks he could come in right away as a freshman and make a very big impact with Auburn.
So maybe early playing time, a selling point for Pappoe at Auburn. For Georgia, to miss out on a 5-star player that's this geographically close, what should the reaction be from Georgia fans or maybe even the Georgia program on another player from Grayson High School going somewhere else besides Georgia and someone who's really just a stone's throw from the Athens campus? What should the reaction be from UGA about this?
Well, I guess, and he made it clear to say Georgia did nothing wrong. Georgia was great. It wasn't anything that Georgia did to lose momentum in this recruitment. It was just Auburn ascending. A little bit of backstory and color on this decision is Pappoe had a custom-made Auburn jersey on. It wasn't really a jersey. It was more like a hoodie, a long-sleeve hoodie with Auburn colors on there, and he had Pappoe on the back of that. So obviously this is not a rash or an impulse decision here on his part. You just kind of got to look at it. And I know Georgia likes to compare themselves to Alabama. Georgia fans see them doing some of the very same things Alabama did in 2007, 2008, as they were striding towards their dynasty. But the one thing Georgia's going to have to adjust to, and I guess Owen Pappoe becomes a test case, is when you stack up elite prospects and inside linebackers, they're going to have to find a way to win those head-to-heads and keep that pipeline of 5 stars and elite players coming to Athens, no matter who is on the roster.
One of the things, Jeff, that Kirby Smart's been very good at is changing the narrative. Bad news followed quickly by some good news. How do you think we'll see Georgia from a recruiting standpoint respond to missing out on Pappoe here tonight?
I think Pappoe's a big, you can't do anything but counsel it or regard it as a big miss for the 2019 class. But you look at Georgia and what they've done. Georgia's still a top 5 recruiting class for 2019. Georgia's going to be just fine, especially at the inside linebacker spot. Moving forward, I think a lot of Dog Nation readers saw a story last week about Christian Harris. I think he becomes if not Pappoe, who's the next guy for Georgia at the inside linebacker spot. Another thing to remember here with Georgia going forward is they've just got a lot of talent on hand, and the Bulldogs are a top 5 recruiting class, but Owen Pappoe said he's got to put his recruiting hat on and go to work. Well, his commitment now makes I believe 6 commitments for Auburn in the class of 2019. But I do know this factoid that Auburn, even with Pappoe, I think they rise to number 25 overall in the country, and I think number 9 in the SEC. So Auburn, building that class, still has a lot of work to do. And Georgia is simply just have to find another prospect that doesn't mind the thought of competing with guys like Quay Walker, Tresvan Marshall, J.D. Bertrand, but also Monty Rice, Channing Tindall, Nate McBride, and the like.
Jeff, really interesting stuff. We'll look forward to reading more from you at DogNation.com. You'll have Sentell intel on all of this and where Georgia goes from here. Thanks for being with us in this special SEC Country Line presentation. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Good stuff.